So we left a few undone, and she has plenty more. At 53 years old, I'm sure you got loads of it. Welcome to the club. All right, so any questions whatsoever? I think we're going to take a lunch break. We'll be back here at 2 o'clock. Any questions about anything?
The questions about, are you Cherokee, or do you speak Chinese? Was that to break the trance? What, the non sequiturs? Like
I don't know.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Okay.
Now, the truth is, I think I talked about this yesterday. What happens is when we go to a memory, whatever the memory is, what happens is like you push the play on the record button. All of a sudden you go into it, you feel like you're there, and you have really strong emotions, good or bad. And so what we do is we want to mess up the record. So we defractionate, which is a process I made up. Defractionation is a pattern interrupt with a desired outcome in mind. So if we can mess up how you play your record, you're going to screw up the problem. And so that's all I'm doing. So when I say I'm in that rich of it, I can do this without ever tapping once. Tapping, it seems to be a very fast protocol with the mindset that we're working from. Because I know what I'm doing. She doesn't know what she's doing. And so what we do is, there's just different ways to yank them out. Feel my fingers is yank out. Tapping by itself is a yank out. Sometimes the trances are bigger than the tapping, so you got to be smarter than the tapping. Or smarter than the mind, actually. So it's just a skill in what we're doing. Like again, I can do it without ever tapping. So so that's why. Now, if you want to test this skill, it's very simple. Have somebody tell you a story that really bothers them, and as they tell the story, ask them a stupid question. I said, I'm sorry, go start back over again. And they start telling the story, and they get to another point, ask them another stupid question. Like, where'd you get those shoes? Or something like that. And then you go back and you start all over. And then by the time they get done, they forgot the story and they can't figure out what the heck they were talking about in the first place. All right? This is how the brain works. So if we use this understanding of the process of thinking, you can actually screw up a lot of problems if you know what you're doing. Now, what we're not doing is escaping from the memory and going over here and diverting our attention, because whatever's in this memory you can actually dump over here. Which means you feel stressed and bothered and upset about something, and then you go and eat cake. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to take the misery of the experience that you're escaping from, and you start dumping on the cake that you think is making you feel better, and eventually cake will make you where you can't reach your toes, you can't wash parts of your body, and you have to buy tent and awning attire. So what we want to do is you make sure that we keep going back to where we were and make sure we get an actual shift and change. That's the key. So just understand there's a process of change. And if you understand the process, all changes happen always this way. It doesn't matter what type of therapy you use. It could be psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, massage therapy, talk therapy, gestalt therapy, you name the therapy. All changes, regardless of what you use, changes only happen one way. Only this way. And it's the finest of the details. And is this: bad, good, collapse. Bad, good, collapse. It'll destroy any problem. If you understand the process of that, you can destroy anything if you understand what you're doing. You can say it with a word. You can say it with an idea. Gregory, he's talking about his dog died. And he's, like 0 to 10, it's a 10. Now he has a concept, an idea floating around his head. His dog died and he's feeling very sad. And I could say something as simple, isn't it nice that the pain is over and the dog's up there playing with your grandfather. All of a sudden he creates a new picture in his head. The dog's happy, grandpa's happy. Guess what? Bad, good, collapse. It's that fast. Because you're using concepts and ideas to create changes. That's all it's about. Tapping is a great defractionator. It brings you back to the moment of now, and it rewrites the story. Now, how I figured this out, I figured it out here in Oklahoma City. I was doing a seminar for the Namaste group. If you don't know who the Namaste group, there's just a bunch of woo-woo people who, talk to dead people, read tarot cards, and have crystals in their bras in their pockets to keep the negative energy away. So they invited me to come and do a presentation. As you can see, I did a presentation very similar to this, big major changes, and it was amazing. And I said, hey, I'm doing sessions. I do 2-hour sessions, and I'll be here over the weekend. So I'm booking 2-hour sessions, and I'm working hours, like 8 to 10 hours a day, one right after another. And of course, I don't know if you've probably been around the woo-woo people. You're probably part of that group. And I don't know if you realize that those people have a lot of problems. A lot of problems. All right? So here it is, this one lady, she's in her 70s, 72, 3, 4, 5, I don't know how old she is. And she came into the room. Now, by the way, I'm renting a hotel room. You know, hotel rooms are very small, walls are very thin, you can hear people have sex next door. It's very common. So here she comes in, and she says, I have one problem, and I gave my second hour away. I said, great. Have a seat. What's the problem? She says, I can't have an orgasm if I hear any noises or anybody else in the house. I go, great. What if you're in this field? Obviously, when you help people, when people have an area around a problem around this area, what question would you normally ask? If you're in any sexual abuse. Now, this 70-year-old skinny lady sitting right here, come up and have a seat right here for just a second. It won't hurt much. The orgasm will be great, though. So here it is, this 70-year-old lady sitting here, and she began to talk about it, and then she didn't even say hardly anything. Next thing I know, she's wailing and screaming. By the way, when I hear this, I go, oh, shit. Because I know people can hear what's going on. And so here she is, she's crying. Get your head down there like you're crying. She's covering her face, and I go, that's right, good job, get it all out. Good job, let it all go. And then I went like this, and I go, hey, hold on a second. Where'd you get those shoes? She goes, huh? Where'd you get those shoes? She said, blah, blah, blah. I said, and then I hit her with a quick tap. We're eliminating all sadnesses, fears, angers, emotional traumas, helpless, hopeless, guilt, rejection, and everything else. Take a deep breath, blow it out, and say peace. Now go back again, and she went right back down there. She's down there crying and all this stuff. And I said, good job, let it go, get it all out. I said, hey, hold on a second. Did you buy one pair or two? Eliminating all sadnesses, fears, anger, emotional traumas, helpless, hopeless, guilt, and everything else. Take a deep breath, and blow it out, and peace. Go back and do it again. She went back down there again. And each time, the wails and the screaming were fading down to nothing. And she came back up. We started talking about this. And I said, tell me what happened. She goes, well, I remember running naked from the woods. I don't remember what happened. And my grandmother saw me, and she looked like she died. I said, make it bother you. She said, Sonny, it happened over 60 years ago. It's over. I said, make it bother you again. She said, it's over. I can't. I said, have you ever tried any therapy? She said, I have been in therapy for the last 40 years. She said, what have you tried? She said, you name it, I tried all. I went to Essalon. I beat furniture. I talked about it for years. Massage therapy. You name it, I did everything. I even went to the big vagina and fell into the swimming pool. I go, what is that? Rebirthing therapy. But have a seat. At that moment, I didn't realize I hit the jackpot of why things really work. But I did figure out something. I know how to handle the big crazy stuff. But later on, I figured out what I really was doing and why tapping really does work. It's just a record they play, a trance, a hypnotic state they go in, and they still think it's true. We know it's not true, and that's why it works. We're powerful, we're creative, and we manifest and produce from our inner world, and we distort everything else from that point, and you can change too. And we'll see you here at 2 o'clock.